Ready. Play.
The second quarterfinal in Barcelona is going to be Holger Rune versus Casper Ruud. Ruud, obviously a defending champion, more suited to the clay. That's his favorite surface. And he leads the head-to-head 6-1. The most recent matchup was in Acapulco, and that was in 2024, so over a year ago. And, the last time Holger beat Ruud was in Rome. In 2023. So, it's been a while. Obviously, Holger's grown a lot as a player and maturity wise. So, I think these are two players who, compete super well and, are up for the battle. So what are your thoughts on this match, Carson?
Yeah, I think Ruud has a lot riding on this tournament. Obviously, clay court season is where he tries to pick up a lot of his points. Holger Rune has been playing relatively well this season, I feel like, and even this head-to-head, it feels like it's getting closer. It's a couple of these matches that they have played recently were at Roland Garros in previous years, but Rune is winning some sets against him, and all these sets are relatively tight. It's not like there's a lot of 6-2, 6-1 in there. It's really just a break a lot of the time. There's a couple tiebreakers in there as well. Casper Ruud, I think he's been playing really well this week. I've been pretty impressed with him. He had a relatively, I guess, sort of physical match in the second round against Herman Medvedev. Sorry, I absolutely butchered his name there. But 7-5, 7-5. Yeah, he's playing well. Seems like his movement is improved a little bit from the last couple of weeks. He's out there. Just looks like he's moving around a little bit more freely. I haven't heard of anything going on with him physically, but he looks a little more free out there this week to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he looked a lot more free in his first round match in Barcelona. I think obviously he wanted more out of Monte Carlo. That was a little bit of a tough defeat, especially, failing to take some match points on the pop-urine serve and then, failing to serve out the match. So, obviously talk about a lot weighing on him in this tournament, obviously being the defending champion, but, having come from Monte Carlo after a tough loss, maybe not the run he was expecting, that's not easy to do. But I think we'll stay right there with the Medvedev match. I think that was definitely a test for him that, he didn't see coming in terms of, okay, I'm playing a young guy who obviously has a lot of talent, but I don't think they had played before that match. So it was a little bit difficult in terms of the preparation and kind of game plan, where I think he was just wowed from the start. The Medvedev forehand was cooking, and he was kind of really getting taken advantage of. And that's what made it such a physical and long match. And, Ruud obviously clutched up, saving a bunch of break points and kind of winning those bigger points in the match, but Medvedev really pushed him. So I think that's kind of a wake-up call in terms of how he needs to play, because he's getting a Holger Rune who is hungry, feisty, and aggressive player. And, you look at his season so far, it's been difficult for him to stay healthy. And that's from the kind of like the illness side of things, not necessarily any injuries, but more so like how he's feeling. There's been a lot of food poisoning incidents and whatnot, and that's kind of derailed some of his weeks. But, obviously he's tough to beat on the clay. He's so athletic, such a physical player, but the ground strokes can really pop. And so I think if you're looking at it from that point, like he has, he's going to have plenty of opportunities. But I think Ruud plays such a calculated game, especially on the clay. He's very deliberate with his game plan and can really lock in on what he's trying to do out there. So, I think we're in for a test. What do you think result-wise here, Carson?
I agree with you. I think this is going to be a real test for Casper, and See how he pulls this one out. For me, I think Ruud will win this one with a 6-1 head-to-head, and especially with the majority of those matches coming on clay. At some point, you have to start asking if there's just like a real matchup problem here for Holger Rune. And yeah, Casper's everything about his game is, it feels like it just improves in these clay court tournaments that are a little bit closer to sea level. Just the spin rate that he's able to get on balls is absolutely incredible. I think that will be a massive advantage in this match for him.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go right off of that and say, because you look at Rune, he loves to stay close to that baseline and take balls early and, you know, kind of counterpunch in that sense. But he also has the ability to drop deep behind the baseline. And that's what, you know, Casper Ruud's willing to do. He's going to kind of out rally you and go into not miss mode. And I think that's where Rune gets in trouble because, you know, he is the aggressive type of player. And of course, he's willing to rally, but he does want to dictate. And I think Casper Ruud's going to be, you know, happy to settle deep behind the baseline and play his angles. And when the opportunity comes, you know, look to attack and really, you know, work off of his first ball. You know, he's not going to rush it. And, you know, I feel like Rune is a little bit of the opposite, where he does see a ball and his eye lights up and he wants to go for it and go all out attack mode, you know, and that's definitely a risk reward type of game style, but you know, he's so talented and he's capable of doing it. So I think we just look at kind of the peaks for both players and kind of their standard level. And you say, okay, I think Rune can peak a little bit more, but is that going to be enough against a very, let's just say, consistent Ruud? Because like I said, I just think his game plan, he executes it very well. And it'll take a lot of controlled aggression from Rune to hit through that. So I'm with you. I think it could go 3 though. I do. I mean, Mijotovic should have been kind of up a set and a break and just didn't take his chances. Rune might be a little bit more clinical in those times. So, but I'm with you. I do think Casper Ruud comes through here en route to at least attempting to defend this Barcelona title.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.